When it comes to the NAACP, what people have to understand is that in essence, they are not a proactive organization. They are a reactive organization. And with being a reactive organization, their existence relies on Black America being in a perpetual state of want, a perpetual state of lack, and a perpetual state of need. Without that, the NAACP, as well as many other organizations, would cease to exist. And this is exactly why we witnessed the San Francisco chapter of the NAACP immediately reject a proposal that would potentially deliver reparations in the form of cash payments to the tune of $5 million to Black San Franciscans who qualified, and instead suggested that reparations should come in the form of community programs. And if reparations were to be delivered in the form of community programs, that way they can continue to be the gatekeepers of the resources that Black Americans desperately need, in which all of the funds would flow through the NAACP, to which after they get done paying themselves and their bills, then they'll sit up on their high horse dictating who gets what in the Black community. This is a tried and true method of ego driven, self inflicted oppression that we've seen practiced all across the continent of Africa as well as Caribbean nations. Disaster strikes, the government of said African or Caribbean nation receives aid from other nations, and then what follows afterward is that the government officials of said nations pocket the money for themselves, and then maybe they might build a flimsy bridge or two just to say technically they did something with the money. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the NAACP. Now, here's another interesting piece of information that you may not have been aware of. Did you know that last month the NAACP received a $50 million grant from Wells Fargo? They surely didn't reject that now, did they? Now, let's read their press statement and see what they plan on doing with the $50 million. Today, Wells Fargo announced a $50 million grant to support the nation's largest civil rights and social justice organization in its continued efforts to advance racial equity in America. For starters, you cannot, quote, advance racial equity in America by being a reactive organization. You'd have to be a proactive one, which is what the NAACP is not. So right off the bat, they're starting this press release off with a lie. Wells Fargo's grant will both strengthen the NAACP's local units and support the organization's plan to develop a new national headquarters. Translation: we're going to pass this money around amongst ourselves first and break bread with each other within the NAACP. The grant will assist the NAACP's local units and branches across America by increasing essential staff to implement and sustain meaningful programming, and will support their work to grow strategic partnerships with key businesses and communities across the country. This is just another very wordy way of stating that we're going to pass the money around amongst ourselves. Notice how the language that they use is very broad and general. There's nothing specific here. And you'll notice that the rest of the press release continues to read like that. In addition, at the national level, the grant will support the NAACP's work on policy solutions used to address the needs of the community it serves. Once again, I hate to sound like a broken record, but the NAACP is a reactive organization. They do not work on any policy solutions. The NAACP gets told by the Democratic Party what policies they want them to push on us. They get told what to do. The Democrats say, hey, what we want you to push on Black America is the John Lewis voting rights bill. And then the NAACP's job is to convince you on why you need said bill. The NAACP does not make any demands ever, let alone negotiate anything on your behalf with the threat of publicly withdrawing support from the Democratic Party if they do not get what they want. They never do that, and they never make any demands. They simply get told what to do. We are grateful to Wells Fargo for their donation, the single largest donation the NAACP has ever received from a corporation. These funds will go directly towards strengthening the NAACP's grassroots network of local units and branches across all 50 states, as well as the work of the national NAACP, said NAACP President and CEO Derek Johnson. All corporations play a critical role in our democracy. They must be engaged as allies in the fight to end discrimination in our economy, in our justice system, across society, and within their own services, and blah, 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 blah. Does this press release not read off exactly like how I said the NAACP operates? First, we'll split the money up amongst ourselves, and then we'll get around to creating some sort of grant or scholarship program for people of color, minorities, and marginalized groups. And no, I am not being facetious when I say that concerning people of color, minorities, and marginalized groups. Here's a look at the NAACP scholarship page. Now let's take a look at the requirements to get a scholarship from the NAACP. We'll just scroll down just a little bit. And as you can see here where it says eligibility criteria, you must be African American or a person of color, meaning Hispanic or Asian. Okay, now let's take a look at their business grant page. And on the Keep It Local Business Fund page, it reads as such. The NAACP and the Next Door Kind Foundation awarded 20 U.S. small business owners of color, Asians and Hispanics, micro grants from the Keep It Local Business Fund in partnership with Hello Alice. Now, should any of you really be surprised about this? No, you shouldn't be surprised at all, because when you go to the NAACP's constitution, it clearly states that they are fighting for all people, not just for Black people, the same way the Congressional Black Caucus's About page reads that they do not fight exclusively for Black people, but they fight for all people of color. Now, I know for some of you that might be a shocker because you're thinking to yourself, wait, the NAACP has a constitution? Yes, they do. And here's how you access their constitution. And let's give it a little read to see who they actually serve. So what you want to do is that you want to scroll up to the very top of their page and hover your cursor over where it says Find Resources. Then you will scroll down to where it says Resource Library. Click on Resource Library and it will take you to the Resource Library page. Next, what you want to do is scroll down and hover the cursor over here where it says Governance. Now click on the Governance tab. And what you'll see open is 8 results where it says Viewing 8 results. And the first result you'll see here is the NAACP Constitution. Now click on that link where it says NAACP Constitution. It will take you to their Constitution page. And when you'll scroll down, you'll see NAACP Constitution with a plus mark next to it. Click on the plus mark and a PDF file will open up of the NAACP's Constitution. Now, what you'll want to do is scroll down and keep scrolling until you get to the very first portion that reads Constitution of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, Preamble. Now, just scroll down a little bit more until you get to NAACP mission statement. And their mission statement reads as such. The mission of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is to ensure the political, educational, social, and economic equality of rights of all persons and to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. Notice, they're here to advance equality for all people. Eliminating racial hatred and racial discrimination is the last point that they mentioned on here. I'm cutting this part short for time, but if you read the whole preamble starting at the very top, everything as it reads off says what they're going to do for people of color, for all people, for everyone in the United States. All people. It's not until the very end where it states that their goal is to eliminate racial hatred and racial discrimination. Their goal is to fight for everyone in the United States, not just Black Americans. And this is the issue with all of these Black organizations, just like the Congressional Black Caucus. They pump fake and pretend like they're fighting on behalf of Black America, but never make any real demands or negotiate on our behalf seriously. They operate on the basis of what the Democratic Party tells them to do. And with all that being said, that does it for today's video. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I release a new video. All social media links will be pinned in the comment section below. I also have a Telegram group now, so if you have Telegram, make sure to hit the link in the description box below as well as pinned in the comment section to join my Telegram group. And also, please make sure you text tdhiphop to number 33222. That's tdhiphop to number 33222. That way you'll get a text notification whenever I release a new video, but it also serves as an insurance plan for myself, so in case YouTube ever gives me the axe, I'll be able to send you a direct link to where you can find me next. And last but certainly not least, for those of you who have a love and appreciation for the work that I put in on this channel, the number one way you can show your support is through Patreon. For only $3 a month, that will help put me in position to take TD Hip Hop Media off of YouTube. Remember, the goal is not to grow big on YouTube, but to grow independent of YouTube. And for those of you who have issues with joining Patreon, you can also hit the join button that's next to the subscribe button, and that way you can become an official channel member for as little as $3 a month as well. And lastly, if you haven't already, please make sure you join the emailing list. There is no way that I can go independent of YouTube if I cannot take the audience with me. And the link to that will be pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you for your time, and until the next video, peace.